Hey, coaching family! It's Miles here. I hope you're well. We've got a big show today, and we've got a big topic today that I want to talk to you about. Really powerful. I want to talk to you today about the gifts of imperfection. This past week, I had a challenging situation with somebody who was working within our business, and we had conflict. We had some raised voices, we had some conflict, and the egoic part of me was not going to share that. Like, I had a completely different podcast episode lined up for today. And you know what? There was a big part of me that didn't want to share it, but then there was a more important part of me that went, you know what? If I've learned anything, is that imperfection is a gift. You see, without papering over this situation, we had conflict, and I reacted. I was emotionally triggered. I raised my voice. Conversation was ended abruptly. 10 minutes later, I proceeded to follow up and apologize, and not try and rectify, but apologize for my reaction and for my behavior. And to cut a very long story short, that unfortunately wasn't reciprocated, and we've had to go our separate ways. And the reason I want to share that with you is because I believe in life, sometimes we as individuals are very quick to judge ourselves and judge one another, when I have a firm belief that we are all and will continue to be imperfect. You know, the title of today's episode, The Gifts of Imperfection, comes from a really good book by Brené Brown. Brené Brown is a great author. If you've not checked any of her work out, please do. You couldn't start at a better place than reading The Gifts of Imperfection. She's got a great documentary on Netflix called A Call to Courage. And Brené Brown regularly talks about that on the opposite side of courage is vulnerability. And kind of mangled in between vulnerability and courage is this thing called imperfection. And I truly believe that as human beings, we often feel like we've got to present this persona, this facade, this archetype of perfection. And one of the things I've observed about myself in the past as a coach is I used to have a firm belief that if I'm going to be a coach, I have to present myself to my clients as fixed. I had a firm belief that if I'm going to put myself out there in the world, I have to project an image, a persona that has me showing the world that I'm fixed. Because somewhere, maybe I'd read it, maybe it was just a belief, maybe it was something inherited from school, who knows? I had a belief that if people saw my imperfections, they wouldn't like me, they wouldn't trust me, and they definitely wouldn't buy from me. And here's what I've since learned. If people don't see my imperfection, if they don't see my fuck-ups, if they don't see my vulnerability, if they don't see mistakes, it's actually that makes them not like me, not trust me, and not buy from me. And so I'm not saying make fuck-ups on purpose. If there's one thing that I still find is my biggest challenge, it is my ability, or sometimes inability, to regulate my emotions when the pressure's on. I find it easy to regulate my emotions when I'm in the park playing football with Sage. That's really easy. But if somebody come along and their dog attacks Sage, I can say I love dogs till I'm blue in the face, but I'm going to kick that dog because my little girl is being attacked by a dog. So I can sit here and say, manage your emotions. I meditate 2 or 3 times a day. I do yoga twice a day. I write gratitude journals a couple of times a day. I go to the gym. I work out. And yet there are times where I lose my cool, and I lost my cool last week. But here's the thing. I have a firm belief. In fact, somebody posted it in our WhatsApp group, in our Master Coach community a couple of weeks ago. And I can't remember the quote, but I think I spoke about it last week. And somebody had said in a quote, they said, you know, the world doesn't need more perfect life coaches. It just needs more people wholly accepting themselves as they are. Forgive me, I probably haven't paraphrased that exactly the way that it said it word for word, but it was along those lines. You see, I believe that most coaches, one of the biggest challenges that they have, one of the biggest mistakes that they make, is they feel like they've got to present a persona. And what they fail to realize is actually it's their story, it's their pain, it is their issues, it is their, sorry, my phone is ringing in the middle of a vlog. It is their issues, it is their challenges, it is their mistakes that are the things that actually are their biggest unique selling point and opportunity. You see, many years ago, I used to battle with this thing about niche. And then when I came up with a niche, I realized that actually the niche hadn't done the majority of the work. You see, you can have two coaches, one that has a really polished niche and the one that doesn't. But the one that doesn't has a great personality. They're open, they're vulnerable, they're courageous, they speak their truth, they wear their heart on their sleeve. I guarantee that coach will be more successful than the polished, perfect coach that puts on a persona that has the well-articulated niche. There's a great saying I love around coaching depth, which was a good friend of mine, Rich Litvin, told me this many years ago. He said, Miles, always remember, you can only take a client to the depth of which you've been yourself. You think about it like this: if you were to go scuba diving, one of the things they teach if you want to be an instructor, I'm not an instructor, but I know enough about it to know that if you want to teach and if you want to be a scuba diver, you've got to have various levels of PADI, P-A-D-I, which is like an acronym for some kind of diving thing. I don't know what it stands for. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. But ultimately, if you're an instructor and you've only been PADI-fied to a certain depth, you can't take students any lower than you've been PADI-fied. There's a word, we'll have to see if that's in the dictionary. PADI-fied. So the point here I'm making is you can't take your clients to the depth that you haven't been yourself. One of my biggest challenges, but actually growth spurts in this past 12 months has been going back to therapy, going back to my men's group, which is purely designed to be a space for men to be open and transparent about our feelings, about our challenges, and about our emotions that we're struggling with. And, you know, one of the things I've learned as I've shared more openly with this community about being in therapy and about being in a men's group and about having rants which were unplanned and ideally would have not happened, is I've actually found more coaches coming towards and saying, hey, that really resonated with me, what you said in that vlog. That really resonated with me. I didn't know that about you. That makes me like you even more, because I thought from what I'd seen in your one-day training that you were fixed. You know, you lived in the back of your friend's gym and now you're perceived to be superstar coach. I thought your life was perfect. No. My life is far from perfect. But you know what I've learned is that when it comes to your tribe, your coaching clients, you've only got to be one step ahead. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, like it's a race to a made up finish line. I just mean your clients just want to see that you're doing the work on yourself that you're selling to them. Which is why I say every coach needs a coach. But I wouldn't stop there, because I have a coach, but I recognize for me that it wasn't enough. I have mentors, but I recognize that it wasn't enough. I'm in a mastermind group, but I recognize that that wasn't enough. One of the things I am going to be talking about a lot more is my faith. I'm a Christian, but there are times where I sometimes forget the importance of starting my day talking to God. See, me and God, we talk often, but there are days where I get up and I get into work mode and I forget the importance of talking to God before I start my day. I choose to call it spiritual Bluetooth. Think of it like this. Where are my headphones? I thought I had my headphones here. If you've got a pair of Bluetooth headphones and the Bluetooth is off, well, you can't use them, right? They will not work. And I have a firm belief that anytime my life has stopped working, it's because I've turned off my spiritual Bluetooth, meaning I've stopped connecting, speaking with, and studying the Word of God. Now, if this doesn't resonate with you because you're an atheist or you're not religious in any way and you're definitely not a Christian, then make no mistake about it. This doesn't have to be a religious conversation. This is not a religious conversation. This is about just the importance of maybe taking yourself out for a walk in nature and listening to your own inner voice. You could call it your heart. You could call it God. You could call it your gut. You could call it your intuition. I don't care what you call it. But what I care about is that the irony is, here I am saying, listen to me, when in actual fact, what I'm ultimately saying is, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Listen to your heart, your intuition, your divine, your God, whoever you consider to be that little voice inside of you that always knows what's right, but you don't always listen. You got to listen to that. Make sure you have your spiritual Bluetooth turned on, because make no mistake about it. Case in point, me last week having conflict with a member of our team, and now we've parted ways. Make no mistake about it. I am imperfect. I am making this up as I go along. In fact, I once said that to a mentor. I said, if you could give me one nugget of wisdom, when I used to love nuggets of wisdom. Personally, I hate nuggets of wisdom because I think you can find them on Google. Everybody knows what to do to get in shape. That's a nugget of wisdom you can find on Google, but not everyone does it. So I don't think nuggets of wisdom are really worth anything, to be honest with you. But I did ask it this time because I was in that period of wanting nuggets of wisdom. What's a nugget of wisdom that you can give me? And he said, I'm making it up as I go along. And therein lies my biggest lesson, is to remember we're all imperfect. If you have a conflict with someone, don't punish yourself for that. Now try and rectify after. Have the self-awareness to see your mistake, because that will help you grow. But know that the response of the other person isn't your responsibility. The only thing that you are responsible for is yourself. And the more that you grow, the more that you will build that relationship with the people that you want to help and serve. So be more vulnerable, be more open, have more courage to speak your truth, share your failures, your fuck ups. Because I truly believe, as a great friend once said to me, that vulnerability really is an asset. And I truly believe that the more vulnerable you are, the more that you will connect with your kind of client, your kind of people. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog. Would love to know your thoughts. Feel free to comment and share it with anybody that you think it will resonate with. For now, God bless you. Stay imperfect, and I'll see you soon.